Simon Cowell spent decades shaping an identity rooted in confidence, precision, and control. His presence on television was defined by certainty. He knew what worked, what didn't, and rarely hesitated to say so. Success followed him because he understood people, talent, and timing. His days were filled with decisions that influenced careers, and his nights often carried the weight of maintaining that success. Work was not just part of his life, it was his life. Everything else came second. Over time, this routine became normal, even comfortable. The structure of his world revolved around ambition, and there was little space for unpredictability. But life has a way of shifting direction without warning. What once felt permanent can change in an instant. For Simon, that shift didn't come from business failure or public criticism. It came quietly, through something far more personal. The foundation he had built remained, but its importance began to fade as something deeper entered his life, asking for attention in a way nothing else ever had before. An unexpected turning point. When Simon entered a relationship with Lauren Silverman, it brought unexpected attention and change into his life. The situation was complicated, public, and widely discussed, but beneath the headlines was something more personal unfolding. The news that they were expecting a child introduced a reality Simon had never seriously considered before. For years, he had openly expressed that fatherhood wasn't part of his plan. His lifestyle didn't seem compatible with raising a child. Yet, when faced with the reality of becoming a father, something shifted internally. It wasn't immediate or dramatic, but it was undeniable. The idea of responsibility began to replace the comfort of independence. The world he had built around himself started to feel incomplete. This moment didn't erase his past, but it introduced a new perspective that would slowly reshape his future. What once seemed unlikely now became central to his identity, setting the stage for changes he could not yet fully understand. The arrival of Eric. The birth of Eric marked a defining moment in Simon's life. It wasn't just the arrival of a child, it was the beginning of a new way of seeing the world. Holding his son for the first time brought a clarity that no professional achievement had ever provided. Suddenly, priorities shifted without needing explanation. The things that once seemed urgent began to feel distant. Time, once measured by schedules and deadlines, became something more meaningful. Simple moments carried weight. The decision to name Eric after Simon's father added emotional depth, connecting past and present in a way that felt grounding. This wasn't just about becoming a parent, it was about rediscovering a sense of purpose. Fatherhood introduced vulnerability, patience, and a kind of love that reshaped his understanding of success. It was no longer about recognition or influence. It was about presence, care, and the quiet responsibility of guiding another life. A shift in priorities. As Eric grew, Simon's daily life began to change in visible ways. The fast-paced lifestyle that once defined him started to slow down. He began turning down opportunities that required long absences, choosing instead to be present at home. This wasn't a sacrifice in the traditional sense, it was a conscious decision. The value of time shifted. Being there for small moments became more important than maintaining constant visibility in his career. His schedule adjusted to fit Eric's needs rather than the other way around. This change didn't happen overnight, but it became consistent. Over time, it became clear that this was not temporary. It was a new way of living. The focus moved from external achievements to internal fulfillment. Fatherhood required attention, patience, and adaptability, and Simon embraced these demands with growing understanding. Early observations. As Eric entered his early years, Simon began noticing subtle differences in his behavior. These observations were not alarming at first, but they lingered. Eric interacted with the world in ways that felt slightly different from other children. He seemed more reserved, more sensitive to certain environments. These moments didn't immediately suggest anything specific, but they created a quiet sense of curiosity. Simon paid attention, relying on his instinct to observe details. It wasn't fear that guided him, it was awareness. Each small difference added to a growing sense that Eric experienced the world in his own unique way. Rather than ignoring these signs, Simon began to reflect on them more deeply, trying to understand what they might mean. Public attention. Being in the public eye made an already emotional situation even more complex. For someone like Simon, whose life had long been visible to millions, privacy was never guaranteed. However, when it came to his son, the stakes felt entirely different. Speculation began quietly, but didn't stay that way for long. People started forming opinions based on brief appearances, short clips, or incomplete information. Assumptions spread quickly, often without care for accuracy or sensitivity. What made it harder was knowing that these conversations were not about a public persona, they were about a child. Simon found himself facing a difficult choice: respond to every rumor and risk drawing more attention, or remain silent and allow misunderstandings to continue. He chose a middle path rooted in protection. Instead of engaging with every claim, he focused on creating a safe and stable environment for Eric. Public curiosity was inevitable, but Simon refused to let it define their lives. He understood that attention could not be controlled, but his response to it could. By stepping back from unnecessary exposure, he created a boundary that prioritized Eric's well-being over public perception, even when that meant accepting that not everyone would understand the full story. Speaking out there came a point when silence no longer felt like the right approach. While Simon had been careful to avoid unnecessary attention, certain narratives began to cross a line. Misunderstandings turned into harmful assumptions, and the lack of accurate information started to shape how people viewed his son. At that moment, Simon made the decision to speak, not to explain everything, but to set the record straight in a respectful and measured way. His words were chosen carefully. He shared only what was necessary, offering clarity without exposing Eric's private world. This was not about defending himself or seeking sympathy. It was about encouraging understanding. Simon knew that speaking out would bring more attention, but he also understood that silence could allow harmful ideas to grow unchecked. By addressing the situation directly, he took control of the narrative while maintaining clear boundaries. It was a delicate balance, being open enough to inform, yet restrained enough to protect. His message was simple: Eric was loved, supported, and simply experienced the world differently. That honesty, delivered without exaggeration or drama, reflected a thoughtful approach, rooted in responsibility rather than reaction. Mixed reactions. As expected, the response to Simon's words was far from uniform. Many people reacted with empathy and support, appreciating his honesty and the care he showed in sharing his perspective. Parents, caregivers, and individuals familiar with similar experiences found comfort in his openness. For them, his words felt relatable and meaningful. However, not everyone responded in the same way. Some continued to question or misunderstand, holding on to preconceived ideas rather than considering a new perspective. Others viewed the situation through a lens of curiosity rather than compassion, analyzing details that were never meant for public discussion. This mix of reactions created a new kind of challenge. Speaking out had brought awareness, but it had also increased attention. Simon quickly realized that public understanding does not change overnight. People interpret information through their own experiences, and not all are willing to adjust their views. Instead of trying to convince everyone, Simon focused on what mattered most. He valued the voices that showed genuine understanding and chose not to engage with negativity. Over time, he accepted that mixed reactions were part of sharing any personal truth publicly, and that progress often comes in small, gradual shifts rather than immediate agreement. Protecting privacy. Even after choosing to speak, Simon remained firm in his commitment to privacy. He understood that sharing information did not mean opening every aspect of their lives to public view. Some moments were simply not meant to be discussed or analyzed by others. Protecting Eric's personal space became a guiding principle behind every decision. This meant being selective about appearances, limiting what was shared publicly, and maintaining clear boundaries with the media. It also required discipline, resisting the urge to respond to every question or clarify every misunderstanding. Privacy, in this context, was not about hiding, it was about preserving dignity. Eric deserved the freedom to grow without constant observation or judgment. Simon recognized that childhood should include moments that are quiet, personal, and free from external pressure. By keeping certain experiences within the family, he created a sense of normalcy that might otherwise have been lost. This approach also allowed Eric to develop at his own pace, without the added weight of public expectation. In a world that often values visibility, Simon chose restraint, understanding that true care sometimes means choosing what not to share. Redefining fatherhood. Fatherhood, as Simon came to understand it, was not a fixed idea but an evolving experience. The expectations he once held, shaped by common milestones and shared cultural images, began to shift as he learned more about Eric's needs. Instead of focusing on what fatherhood was, quote, supposed to look like, he began to focus on what it needed to be. This meant letting go of comparisons and embracing a more personalized approach. Connection became more important than convention. Communication took new forms, often expressed through gestures, routines, and shared understanding, rather than words alone. Patience became essential, as progress unfolded at its own pace. Presence mattered more than planning, and adaptability replaced rigid expectations. Through this process, Simon discovered a deeper version of fatherhood, one that required attentiveness, empathy, and continuous learning. It wasn't defined by outward achievements, but by the strength of the relationship he built with his son. This redefinition did not diminish the experience. It enriched it. By stepping away from traditional expectations, Simon found a more meaningful and authentic way to connect, one that reflected the unique bond he shared with Eric. Strength in difference. Over time, Simon's perspective shifted from concern to appreciation. What once felt uncertain began to reveal itself as something valuable. Eric's differences were not limitations, they were part of his identity, shaping how he interacted with the world. Simon started to notice qualities that might have gone overlooked before: focus, attention to detail, and a unique way of understanding patterns and environments. These traits carried their own strengths, even if they did not align with typical expectations. This realization changed how Simon approached everything. Instead of asking how Eric could fit into existing structures, he began to consider how those structures could adapt to support Eric. This shift replaced doubt with respect and curiosity. It also strengthened Simon's role as an advocate, not just for his son, but for a broader understanding of difference. By embracing these qualities, he created an environment where Eric could thrive without pressure to conform. This perspective brought a sense of pride, allowing Simon to see his son not through a lens of comparison, but through one of individuality and potential. Moving forward, the path ahead remained uncertain, but it was no longer unclear. Simon had gained a deeper understanding of what his son needed and how he could provide support. This clarity gave him direction, even when the future felt unpredictable. Instead of focusing on long-term expectations, he learned to value steady progress. Each step forward, no matter how small, became meaningful. Routines were built to provide stability, while flexibility allowed for growth and adaptation. Challenges still existed, but they were met with greater confidence and preparation. Simon no longer measured success by external standards. Instead, he defined it through Eric's comfort, development, and happiness. This shift allowed him to approach each day with purpose rather than pressure. Moving forward was not about reaching a specific destination. It was about continuing the journey with understanding and care. Together, they built a life shaped by intention, where progress was measured in moments of connection and resilience rather than traditional milestones. A continuing journey, Simon and Eric's story is not defined by a single moment or outcome. It is an ongoing journey, one that continues to evolve with time. There is no final destination, no point at which everything becomes completely certain. Instead, it is shaped by daily experiences, small victories, and the steady strengthening of their bond. Growth happens gradually, often in ways that are not immediately visible. Challenges appear, but so do new opportunities for understanding and connection. Through it all, resilience becomes a constant presence. Simon has learned that perfection is not the goal, authenticity and care are. By focusing on what truly matters, he has built a foundation rooted in trust and acceptance. This journey is not about overcoming difference, but about living with it in a way that allows both father and son to grow. It is a story of adaptation, patience, and enduring connection, one that continues to unfold with each passing day. Searching for answers, determined to understand his son in a deeper and more meaningful way, Simon began a quiet but relentless search for answers. What started as a few late-night questions soon turned into hours of reading, reflecting, and trying to connect patterns. He explored child development resources, listened to different perspectives, and paid close attention to the experiences of other parents who had walked similar paths. Each piece of information offered some insight, but none gave him the full picture he was hoping for. Instead, every answer seemed to open the door to more questions. The process was not straightforward, it was layered, emotional, and often overwhelming. There were moments of reassurance, followed by moments of doubt. Still, Simon didn't step back. He understood that this wasn't about finding a quick explanation or a simple label. It was about building awareness and learning how to truly see his son for who he was. He reached out to professionals, attended consultations, and listened carefully to what experts had to say, even when the information felt complex or uncertain. Through it all, patience became essential. He realized that understanding Eric would take time, observation, and openness. There was no single moment of clarity, but rather a gradual shift in perspective. Simon began to accept that this journey was not about solving a problem, It was about learning how to support a unique individual in the best way possible. That understanding became the foundation for everything that followed, shaping how he approached both his role as a father and the decisions he would make moving forward. The diagnosis. When the diagnosis finally came, autism spectrum disorder, it marked a moment that was both heavy and clarifying. Simon had spent months noticing patterns, asking questions, and preparing himself for the possibility, yet hearing the words spoken aloud carried a different weight. It made everything real in a way that no amount of speculation ever could. What had once been uncertainty now had a name, a framework, and a direction. The room may have felt still in that moment, but internally, there was a mix of emotions: relief, concern, acceptance, and a quiet determination beginning to take shape. The diagnosis was not a conclusion, it was the beginning of a new chapter. It offered a clearer understanding of Eric's experiences, why certain environments felt overwhelming, why communication developed differently, and why routines mattered so much. Instead of seeing isolated behaviors, Simon could now see connections. This clarity allowed him to move forward with intention rather than guesswork. While the news carried emotional weight, it also brought a sense of purpose. It meant there were ways to help, strategies to explore, and professionals who could guide the journey ahead. Simon did not view the diagnosis as something that defined limitations. Instead, he began to see it as a guide, something that would help him better understand how Eric interacted with the world. It gave him direction, helping him shift from uncertainty to informed action, and from worry to a more grounded sense of responsibility. Understanding autism. With the diagnosis came a deeper commitment to truly understanding what autism meant, not just in general terms, but in the context of Eric's individual experience. Simon quickly realized that autism was not a single, fixed condition but a spectrum, with each person experiencing it in their own unique way. He learned about differences in communication, how some individuals might struggle with spoken language but express themselves clearly through actions, expressions, or patterns of behavior. He also began to understand sensory sensitivities, recognizing why certain sounds, lights, or environments could feel overwhelming. Routine, which he once saw as a simple preference, now revealed itself as a source of stability and comfort. Beyond the challenges, Simon discovered strengths that reshaped his perspective. Eric's ability to focus deeply, notice small details, and engage with patterns showed a different kind of intelligence, one that did not always fit traditional expectations, but held its own value. This knowledge shifted Simon's mindset in a profound way. Instead of thinking about how to change Eric, he began to think about how to better understand and support him. Autism was not something to quote-unquote fix or overcome. It was a way of experiencing the world that required empathy and adaptation. This shift replaced uncertainty with curiosity and allowed Simon to approach each day with a greater sense of purpose, seeing his son not through a lens of limitation, but through one of individuality and potential. Building a support system. Once Simon had a clearer understanding of Eric's needs, the next step was creating a strong and reliable support system. This became a central part of their daily lives, shaping routines and priorities. Therapies were introduced, not as quick solutions, but as structured ways to help Eric develop skills at his own pace. Speech therapy focused on communication, helping him find ways to express himself more clearly. Occupational therapy worked on sensory processing and motor skills, making everyday tasks feel more manageable. Behavioral support provided strategies for navigating challenges and building consistency. Each approach addressed a different aspect of Eric's development, but together they formed a comprehensive system of care. Progress did not happen overnight. It came in small, meaningful steps: a new sound, a longer interaction, a moment of connection that hadn't been there before. Simon learned to recognize the importance of these moments, understanding that they represented real effort and growth. He didn't remain on the sidelines. He became actively involved, learning from therapists, asking questions, and applying what he learned at home. This involvement strengthened the bond between him and Eric, turning the process into a shared journey rather than a series of appointments. Over time, the support system became more than just a set of therapies. It became a foundation for growth, resilience, and confidence, helping Eric navigate the world in a way that felt both supported and empowering. The power of thoughtful expression. As time went on, Simon realized that words carry weight, especially when they come from personal experience. When he chose to speak, he did so with care, understanding that his voice had the ability to influence how others perceive similar journeys. He didn't aim to explain everything or satisfy every curiosity. Instead, he focused on sharing what felt meaningful and necessary. This thoughtful approach to expression allowed him to connect with others on a deeper level. People didn't just hear his words, they felt the sincerity behind them. By speaking with intention, he created space for understanding without compromising the privacy that was so important to him. It became clear that communication isn't about saying more, it's about saying what truly matters. Through this balance, Simon showed that it's possible to be open while still maintaining boundaries. His words became a reflection of his growth, shaped by experience and guided by empathy. In choosing how and when to speak, he demonstrated that true communication comes from a place of honesty and respect, both for oneself and for others. Embracing change without fear. Change is often accompanied by discomfort, especially when it challenges long-held expectations. For Simon, one of the most important lessons was learning to embrace change rather than resist it. He began to understand that life doesn't always follow a predictable path, and that trying to control every outcome only creates unnecessary stress. By letting go of rigid expectations, he opened himself up to new possibilities. This shift in perspective allowed him to see change not as something to fear, but as an opportunity to grow. It gave him the freedom to adapt, to learn, and to experience life in a more authentic way. Instead of measuring progress against a fixed standard, he began to appreciate each moment for what it was. This approach brought a sense of peace that had once felt out of reach. It reminded him that growth doesn't come from holding on, it comes from letting go. And in doing so, he created a space where both he and his son could evolve naturally, without pressure or comparison, guided by acceptance and understanding. Love as a lasting foundation. At the heart of everything Simon experienced was a simple yet profound truth. Love has the power to redefine everything. It became the foundation upon which he built his life, influencing every decision and shaping every perspective. This love wasn't about perfection or achieving certain milestones. It was about being present, offering support, and creating a bond that could withstand any challenge. Through this connection, Simon found a deeper sense of purpose, one that went beyond external success. He realized that the most meaningful moments are often the quiet ones, shared without expectation or recognition. Love, in its truest form, doesn't demand attention, it simply exists, steady and unwavering. It became his anchor, providing stability in times of uncertainty and clarity in moments of doubt. This understanding transformed the way he saw the world, shifting his focus from achievement to connection. And in that shift, he discovered something far more valuable than anything he had known before, a sense of fulfillment rooted not in what he accomplished, but in how deeply he cared, a life redefined by fatherhood. For Simon Cowell, raising Eric Philip Cowell became a journey that quietly transformed his entire outlook on life. What once felt like a fast-paced world driven by work, public attention, and constant movement gradually shifted into something more grounded and intentional. The experience of fatherhood introduced him to a different rhythm, one shaped by patience, awareness, and a deeper sense of responsibility. Instead of focusing only on external success, Simon began to understand the importance of presence and emotional connection. His priorities slowly realigned, guided by the needs of his son rather than the expectations of the outside world. This shift did not happen suddenly, but through a series of moments that gradually changed how he saw everything around him. Privacy, understanding, and emotional growth. As life in the public eye continued, Simon learned to protect what mattered most. He came to understand that not every detail of his personal life needed to be shared or explained. Protecting Eric's privacy became a conscious and respectful choice, rooted in care rather than distance. At the same time, Simon discovered that communication within their relationship often went beyond words. It existed in quiet understanding, shared attention, and subtle expressions that carried meaning without needing language. These moments built a bond that was steady and deeply human. Instead of reacting to public assumptions, Simon focused on creating a calm and supportive environment where Eric could feel secure and understood. Acceptance, growth, and a different kind of future. Over time, Simon also learned to release expectations he once held about the future. The path he had imagined was replaced by something more flexible and authentic, shaped by real experience rather than ideal outcomes. This acceptance allowed both him and Eric to move forward without pressure or comparison. Life became less about trying to control what would happen next and more about appreciating what was happening in the present. Simon found strength in this approach, trusting the bond he had built with his son and the steady progress they were making together. In the end, his journey revealed a simple but powerful truth, that love, understanding, and consistent care hold far more meaning than public recognition or success.